Talking about code summary. So when you click on code summary, it provides everything that you've collected for the entire time that that monitor was on for that patient, okay? And so it will print out a long list of things if you've been with the patient for any length of time. So just be forewarned, you may get more than you bargained for if you click the code summary button too early. So, however, it's very helpful for cardiac arrest situations because it gives you everything that you could need and you can put that all with your report. Okay, so let's talk about NIBP real quick. So here is the stuff. Obviously, it's a plug-in here. You just push that in until it clicks, and then you wrap this around the patient, making sure to put, and this blood pressure cuff doesn't look very pretty, but make sure you put the correct side toward the patient. Okay, so this would be the side to the patient. And then you just push the button once it's plugged in, okay? There are various sizes of cuffs, so we have a large adult and a child cuff here. There are also infant cuffs.
Can you show me where the button is?
For the NIBP, it's right here. Okay. All right. So I have two different SpO2 cords here. Basically, just a difference in connection. They also do. You can reconnect different ones here in the middle, but the concept is the same. You can plug either one of these, not both of them, into this port right here, and it only goes in one way. So there's no way to plug it in incorrectly unless you just don't get it pushed in well enough. Okay. So once those are in, those read continuously as long as you have the thing on the patient. I would tell you that if you're having trouble getting a reading, some things that might help are to cover the sensor. So use a blanket, wrap it in dark Coban, use a glove finger from just a regular plastic glove, anything like that to help because that sensor reads with a light. And so if there's too much ambient light, you may have a difficult time getting a good reading. The other thing is if the patient's hands are too cold, you may have a difficult time getting a good reading. You can also try a different location. If your sensor allows that, you might be able to put it on the earlobe, possibly either the bottom or the top, or just use a different finger would be another option. If you're reading pediatrics, there are special sensors that you can get to read pediatrics, either on the foot or something like that. So, okay. So Nikki can tell you how to set up the 4-lead, 12-lead, that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go through that. Events. Let's look at these buttons right here. So you can select events if you're working on a patient and you want to note that you had a particular medicine. You can select events. You could either select generic if it's not in your list, or you can select a particular event. Or if you started CPR, someone if you have enough help, you could get someone to mark that. You can also just do a generic. There are more. So there's a second page giving you some more options. These are usually changeable. You can actually go in and monitor or change what you want it to say. And so that's one option. I would have to do a little bit of research on how to set that up in the Lifepak 12. I've got information on how to change it in the 15, but I'd have to research the other. So if you just hit the button twice, it will automatically set a generic event for you, and that will print out when you get a printing at whenever you're ready for that, that you had an event. So at least you would know, hey, at this time I did a BGA. I'm just going to mark a generic event, and then you can go in later as long as you don't forget which generic event you were doing. So options, let's say that I turned my monitor off, but I wanted to get back to that particular patient. And so next time I can turn the monitor back on. I'll wait for it to run through its self-checks. It should be doing all of that, and that kind of tells you that it's working fine. And then you're going to select options, and you can go over to archives. Now there are some other options here, but we're going to look at archives. And it will ask you if you want to end patient monitoring. So of course this time I'm just looking for particular information, so I'm not worried about monitoring anything, so I'm going to select yes. And then it's going to go into the patient archives. Now, there are ways to send data, fax, things like that. I'm not going to deal with that. We're just looking at printing. So let's go into print, and then you can select which patient you want. So let's say that I wanted to go back and look at a patient from the 1st of March. Okay, so I would select that. Then I can choose what type of report I want to see. If I need everything, I want the rhythm strips and everything from that patient, I can select code summary and it will print out everything. Or I can select simply the vital signs. If I'm doing a report and I just need to print off the vital signs from my last call or whatever, then I can select vital signs, and then you go back up to print and it will print whatever you have, okay, or whatever you need there. Okay, so that's kind of the options and the information on printing. Now, if you're monitoring a patient, in order to get back to the monitor screen, I have to turn it off and back on. So I'm going to do that. And then if you're monitoring a patient, you actually can just press the print button while you're monitoring the patient, and it will print out anything that you're seeing on the screen. So it will give you a little bit of information about your vitals that are over here. It can print leads, whatever you choose to display here, it will print out. So if I hit that print button, as long as my paper is not messed up, by the way, this pops out here, and then you can move your paper where you need to. And just make sure it's kind of lined up in there, and then select that down, and it should print okay. Okay, there we go. So I'm a little bit short on paper on this monitor, but you can kind of see here, when you hit the print button again, it turns the print off. So if you hit print once and then go off and do your thing and forget to hit it again, it's just going to keep printing. So you will get a mile of paper printed behind you. Trust me, I've done that. So I'm pretty sure most of us have.
We all have.
So just know that you need to hit it again to stop the print, okay? So then you can just tear it off here, and then you can look at what you have. So since I have leads 1, 2, and 3 showing on the monitor, it's going to print leads 1, 2, and 3. If I had only lead 2 and my SPO2 waveform and my end title, it would print that instead, okay? Note that this is obviously set up to manage with the waveform in relation to the boxes, and so it's a particular distance. That would be the same with your capnography waveform. Your capnography waveform is going to look a little smaller on the screen than it does when you print it out, because this prints off per time, and this is not quite as accurate per time. Okay. You can also print vitals the same way. If you want to print vitals while you've got the patient on there, you just go here, go over to print. And I'm sorry, I selected options, select. Use the dial to select print, and then you can go down and select whether you want to print a code summary or just the vital signs for that particular patient. And then once you've selected that, you have to go back up to print and select again, okay? And then you can change the speed and things like that. We don't typically mess with that, but those are some options that are available to you. So, okay, I am running out of time. I apologize. So I may have to record another video later and do some more information about using it as an AED and how that works. So we'll start with that. Hopefully that can kind of get you started. If I get a chance, I'll do another video on the AED side of things and go from there. Thank you.